Welcome to the Ditch the Struggle podcast. I'm your host, Alana Rosso. I'm a graphic designer turned career and success coach who knew I could do better, but kept falling short of where I wanted to go. But after years of exploring personal and career development, business, money mindset, and energy work, I'm here to tell you that yes, you can move from stuck and defeated to empowered and confident. Ready to dive in? Awesome. Together, let's ditch the struggle. Hi everyone, welcome back. Today I want to talk about boundaries and burnout, two of my favorite topics and two things that I help a lot of people with. And I have been really not doing good in the boundaries and burnout department. Doing well, should I say? I don't know. I'm sucking at both of them. So the last few weeks, work's been a lot, and I have kind of been doing a lot of nights and weekends. And interestingly, I've noticed that when my husband travels for work, I tend to triple down on work, and I'm not quite sure why. Partly I just tend to get busy, but I also feel like there's this weird I have all the space now, so I'm just going to fill it with work. So I need to look at that a little bit more. But the last few weeks in particular have been crazy with some design work, some coaching, and throw in there working a trade show for 2 days that my friend does every year, and I help her every year, and I love doing it. But it's tiring because you're with people, which I'm not with all the time. And there's long days, it's standing and the whole thing. So I really have only been taking a Saturday off here and there. And I know I tell people not to work too much, but I definitely fall into that habit of kind of doing too much. So here's the thing, for the most part, I'm really enjoying my clients that I'm working with. Everything feels pretty aligned. Really love the teams I'm working with. And in many ways, I'm very spoiled right now. And that is because the people and the clients I'm working with, it's really primarily just an email relationship. So even my design clients, I'm not really on Teams. God help you for all of you on Teams. I'm not on Teams. I'm on Slack, sort of, for one company that I work with, but it's not really expected that I be on it all the time because I'm quote unquote just a freelancer. And none of these people are texting me for the most part. It's very civilized. And I have lived the corporate life where it's banana town. It is the teams going off. It's the texts. It's the emails. It's everything all at once. So I'm not in that place. And I can't even tell you how grateful I am. One of the newer companies that I've been doing some design work for, they just use email. It's quite old school, and I love it because A, there's a clear trail of how we're communicating, and B, it's not setting the tone of, instant crazy reactions and having to be on all the time. So I really appreciate that, and I feel really happy that I've come to this place with most of the people I'm working with, that it's feeling good in that area. But I have been working crazy hours, kind of, been doing too much. And then for some reason, I check my email on Saturday. Well, I always check my email, but maybe that's a problem. But two companies that I work with decided to email me on Saturday for projects. So I was really surprised. So one of them, I've never really gotten an email from them on a Saturday. And my immediate reaction was, oh my God, there's something major, there's a problem. And my nervous system took a major hit just seeing the email come in on a Saturday. I read the email. It's for changes that I had done to something on a Friday, which I sent I was working till 6:30 on the Friday. It was just a really busy week. And I'm looking at the email, and there was absolutely no reason for this email to have been sent on a Saturday. Two minor changes, could have been sent Monday. I was going to do the Monday. I would do the Monday anyway. And I was like, what is happening? People, we need to be the change we want to see in the world. Why is anyone emailing unless it's something super urgent on a Saturday, especially in the graphic design world like that? or marketing, like, this is not a crisis. We're not even close to a crisis. I have worked on some projects that go into print production on a weekend and things can happen. This was not one of them. And then I got an email, also something completely non-urgent that wasn't due for 12 days from someone on a Saturday. Now, I make a very strong point of never emailing anyone I'm working with, anyone on my team on a weekend. I don't even really like to send anything after 6 o'clock. Like, that's kind of my cutoff. I will put it in the schedule send section of my email or a draft. Actually kind of makes me feel good to have a whole bunch of emails scheduled to send out on a Monday or whatever, because I do sometimes work on a weekend. So I don't want to sit here and say I have such strong boundaries that I never work on a weekend. Part of the reason why I like to work on a weekend sometimes is because I don't have any emails coming in, because I have time to just think and just work things through. And as a creative person, especially, a lot of your job is sitting at a screen and staring at it. Like, you just have to look at things uninterrupted. Just look at a screen, stare off into space, and that's when the ideas come. Okay, so I get these emails. I was like, this is really weird. And my nervous system takes like a little hit. It's like a little micro hit on my nervous system. Now, of course, I wasn't going to respond, but I was wound up from it. And as my friend pointed out to me when I explained to her what happened, she's like, oh, you have had your boundaries crossed. And absolutely. And when anger and resentment kick in, it's usually when a boundary is crossed. Now, I'll link the episode I did on boundaries where I talk about that more. And the work of Brené Brown goes very much into boundaries. And she kind of explains this concept of, when the anger is bubbling up, someone has crossed a boundary. Now, the boundary is, for me, I have given and given and given and given all week or for weeks and like worked late and like turned one project around in 2 days. And now you're going to email me on a weekend and you're now going into my personal time. Like, you have crossed a line and I'm mad about it. Like, I was just mad and annoyed. And it was like, you guys just all need to chill out. Just chill out, sit down. So that was a great indication of a boundary. Now, I probably wouldn't have felt that way if I hadn't been overworking for a few weeks on end. And actually, if I really think about it, it's been a few years, which leads me to the burnout, which if I was to objectively look at how I'm feeling, I would say I'm feeling burnout for sure. And the episode just before this is all about this chronic knee, hip pain I've been having, which I think is in large part to a lot of burnout. Now, has it been going for a long time? Yes. And I think a lot of people have been really building up to burnout for a long time. It's been crazy with what's happening in the world. And I have been kind of working double time because so many things shifted for me since especially 2021. So 2021 is when I left my toxic job at the cosmetic company. I still have, I'm going to do a big deep dive into that juicy story. Promise it's coming. So I left that in May of 2021. Of course, the world's in that crazy, what I call the pandemonium. I heard someone call it that. I'm adopting that. So we're in pandemonium state. I leave the job. My mom is admitted into hospital shortly after that and then goes into palliative. So I spend the whole summer up until October when she passes in and out of hospitals. I had another family member also hospitalized at the same time that I was taking care of. So split into literally two different hospitals for a while. And I'm really not working. And so when I come out of this, I had to kind of like triple time and like double down. I don't know what the words are, but I had to go a little bit extra to, I guess I felt like I had to make up for that like lost time and figure out how I was going to just maneuver my career. And I also had a very short bandwidth because obviously I'd been through some pretty tough times that year. I'd say 2021 was one of the hardest years I've ever been to, or one of the hardest years I've ever been through. So 2022 starts rebuilding and kind of getting things back on track. And I've been working a lot. I started doing outplacement coaching. I was just doing tons of coaching. Started by 2022, really ramping that up. And all of 2023 up until June 2024, I was doing this outplacement coaching, helping people transition from their jobs that they've lost. And I don't know how many hundreds of clients I worked with or people that were going through the program, like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. Some days I would do 7 participants back to back, like just, they were only half an hour calls, but I would just be like on, on, on. So suffice to say, I've been working a lot. And the thing is, though, I don't think in my head that I see it that way. I keep convincing myself that I haven't been working as crazy hard as I have. And I kind of had an aha moment like last week. And it's just wild that I'm thinking this way. But I have, like, when I actually am honest with myself, I have been thinking this way. I have decided and made the decision or the observation that I do not have burnout, and I am not allowed to have burnout, or I couldn't have burnout because I have been working from home. So this idea that because I get to work at home, mostly my yoga pants and a sweatshirt, that's usually what I'm wearing every day, and a top knot, and because I get to be at home with my dog and cuddle her whenever I want and have the time to sit on the front porch or have a tea in the garden if I feel like it in the middle of the day, or do some laundry in the middle of the day, because I'm in what I really believe is a privileged situation that I have worked really hard to build up, that I don't get to feel burnout because other people have it harder. And if I really dig down into that, I think of a lot of my corporate friends who are like moms and are like rushing to their 9 to 5 and like doing all the kids stuff. And I think of my husband, Dak, who has a physical job where he's on location and he's like construction supervisor and a site supervisor. So he's out and about, and a lot of the days he starts at 6 a.m. And he is currently doing a job in Miami. This is so gross. He starts at 7 p.m. and he finishes at 8 a.m. They're 13-hour days because they have to work on this big construction thing when there's not many pedestrians around because it's in the middle of the street in Miami. So I've been telling myself, well, I don't get to be burnt out. I don't get to be tired. I have no right to feel this way because I have things cushy in a way. Meanwhile, if anyone knows what it's like to be a freelancer / entrepreneur, anything where you're building your own business, the pressure is relentless. You do have to kind of keep going. And, when I take on freelance design work, I sometimes will take on too much because you don't know when the next job is going to come around. Now, I try not to live in fear. I really do have a mindset that there's always work available to me. It's always going to flow to me. And for the most part, it does. Although I have gone through really tough, dry patches, and especially that 2016, which I referred to in a lot of different episodes, things just were not clicking. Like it was just not going well. But now, for the most part, people reach out to me. I don't have to do much promotion. And I know there's work out there and I know I have a solid reputation, but there's a part of me that's like, oh yeah, you need this turned around in 2 days? Absolutely. You want to throw another project my way? Absolutely. Because I am used to being a high performer. So here's the thing. I have to accept that I am going through some burnout. I know I don't have much bandwidth. I have drastically for now, reduced the amount of coaching clients I'm working with because partly I am having the health pain issues to go through. But I also feel like I just worked with so many people for the last couple of years that I have had to just step back a little bit. And I actually need to plan out how I want to move through this burnout. And generally, the best solution is to not work as much. And then there's all the self-care things. And yes, I'm stepping into all those things. And I do have a short vacation planned coming up in about a month where I can't wait to disconnect. I don't usually have a problem disconnecting. Once I'm gone, I'm like, okay, I'm see you out of there, out of office is on. So boundaries and burnout have been themes for me. I'm going to have to think about how to set more boundaries. Now, am I going to tell people not to email me on a Saturday? I'm actually not. I'm just going to ignore the email. But I really implore you, if you're one of those people that does work on the weekends and start sending emails to your team and doing all that, unless it's really a crisis, let's not do that. Let's just chill out. Let's just send it on Monday. If you want to send it at 8 a.m., you go for it on the Monday, but just wait it out. I'm going to start thinking about ways of pulling back from work or how I can structure things a little bit better so I have a bit more balance. I know that word is kind of thrown around, but I know what it feels like to be in a bit more balance. And I've kind of been swinging way too far, and I'm going to get curious as to why. I do think part of it is that I feel like I have to make up for that lost time that I wasn't really working and I was just not able to put 100% into my work. So there's a few things going on there. But the bottom line is, it doesn't matter what your work scenario is, whether you work from home, in an office, what you're doing, burnout is real, and it simply can come from just, over delivering, over committing, overworking. Some of the symptoms are kind of subtle as well. Indecisiveness, brain fog, feeling tired all the time, unmotivated, not wanting to really get much done. Like, I'm just finding that I'm keeping goals very small. I'm not really thinking big picture. And that's also one of the things that I'm like, that's a bit of a red flag for me, because I'm usually much more big picture thinking and ambitious. And I'm just kind of like, things are good, but I'm kind of not wanting much to change and kind of coasting, which is a sign that I don't have a huge amount of, bandwidth happening. And yeah, not really planning ahead. That's for me a big sign. And never mind the feeling kind of tired all the time. That's part of it for me. But shockingly, even though I'm not sleeping much and, going through a lot of stuff and health pain or pain in my body, I don't feel tired most days. So I don't know. I don't know why that's happening. Maybe I'm still running on adrenaline. Maybe it's just cortisol like pulsing through, and it's just like, I'm in fight or flight. Maybe that's it, probably, if I was to guess. But I haven't fully crashed yet. But the point is, I need to kind of get on top of this before I crash. So I got to make some plans. I'm going to keep you updated on the things that I figure out, what I'm going to do, what I need to get back to, which is, nature. And I have been doing walks in nature every day. But I hope this episode kind of helps you think about what your boundaries are, how they're being crossed, and we'll dive more into burnout for sure and give you some more tips and things that you can do. But remember, everyone does experience burnout. And even if you're working at home with your cozy socks on and your big sweatshirt and you're drinking your favorite tea or coffee all day, if you are working too much, if you are over-delivering, being overproductive, and just putting way too much out there, too much output, you will experience burnout. And you want to notice the symptoms and notice the feelings before you really, really hit a wall, which is what I plan on doing. So I'll keep you posted. Take care, guys. Thank you for joining me today on Ditch the Struggle. You showing up here means so, so much to me. To dig deeper into the topics discussed today and to learn about my work, visit alanarosa.com. And don't forget to download your free resources while you're there. And if this episode resonated with you, please share with others who also want to ditch the struggle. Go ahead and subscribe to the podcast, leave a rating and a review, and let me know what you'd like to see more of on this podcast. And before I go, I want to leave you with my 3 favorite ways to ditch the struggle. Be your own best advocate, take baby steps for the win, and forget about a linear career path. It's overrated and you are doing just fine. See you next time.